Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm your friend Gabriel. Today I'm going to tell you an amazing story. But first, let me get comfortable. Tada! What do you think of my chibi form? Now, let's begin our story. In the murky annals of criminal history, few names evoke as much dread as Andrei Chikatilo. Known as the Butcher of Rostov, his reign of terror cast a long shadow over Soviet Russia during the late 20th century. Born in a time of political turmoil and economic hardship, Chikatilo's life seemed to prelude his descent into infamy. His crimes shocked a nation already steeped in secrecy and fear, challenging both the resolve of law enforcement and the endurance of the community. As the years progressed, Chikatilo's actions became more brazen, leaving a trail of horror that baffled investigators. The Soviet Union, grappling with the transition into modernity, found itself ill-equipped to handle such a monstrous presence within its borders. Reports of gruesome murders began to surface with alarming regularity, painting a grim picture of a society under siege. The chilling authenticity of these crimes left a mark on the collective psyche, a testament to the depths of human depravity. The mystery surrounding Chikatilo's identity and his motivations only added to the sense of dread. Families lived in fear, communities became distrustful, and the once bustling streets grew eerily quiet as the specter of danger loomed large. The question of how one man could commit such heinous acts without detection became a focal point for both media and public discourse, setting the stage for one of the most intense manhunts in criminal history. Andrei Chikatilo was born on October 16, 1936, in the small Ukrainian village of Yablukny. His early years were marked by hardship and deprivation, the result of Stalin's oppressive regime and the devastating famine that swept through Ukraine. Chikatilo's family, like many others, struggled to survive, often going without basic necessities. These formative experiences instilled a profound sense of isolation and inadequacy in young Andrei, feelings that would fester throughout his life. Chikatilo's childhood was further marred by tales of cannibalism during the famine, which his mother recounted with disturbing regularity. These stories, coupled with the brutal reality of his upbringing, may have played a role in shaping his later criminal inclinations. Despite these challenges, Chikatilo was an intelligent child, excelling academically and demonstrating a talent for literature. However, his social skills lagged behind, leaving him an outcast among his peers. In his adolescence, Chikatilo's struggles with impotence and sexual inadequacy began to surface, compounding his feelings of loneliness and rejection. These issues persisted into adulthood, affecting his relationships and further alienating him from those around him. Despite these personal struggles, Chikatilo managed to secure a position as a teacher, though his tenure was marred by allegations of inappropriate behavior toward students. This period marked the beginning of a double life that would ultimately lead to his downfall. The seeds of Chikatilo's dark future were sown in these early years as he grappled with internal demons that would later manifest in unspeakable acts of violence. His inability to reconcile his personal failures with societal expectations created a fracture in his psyche, one that would widen with time, ultimately consuming him and those unfortunate enough to cross his path. Chikatilo's transformation from a troubled individual to a notorious serial killer was neither sudden nor simple. It was a gradual descent into madness, fueled by a potent mix of psychological trauma, sexual frustration, and an overwhelming sense of powerlessness. The tipping point came in the early 1970s when Chikatilo, now a family man with a seemingly stable life, began to act out his violent fantasies. His first known murder occurred in 1978, a crime that would set the tone for the horrors that followed. Chikatilo lured a 9-year-old girl into the woods, where he brutally assaulted and murdered her. Despite being apprehended, a lack of evidence led to his release, allowing him to continue his killing spree. This initial taste of blood awakened something within him, a hunger that could not be sated by ordinary means. Over the next 12 years, Chikatilo would go on to commit at least 52 murders, each more brutal than the last. His victims, ranging from young children to adults, bore the brunt of his violent rages, their bodies often mutilated in the aftermath. The sheer savagery of his attacks suggested a man completely detached from reality, driven by forces beyond his control. Chikatilo's ability to evade capture for so long can be attributed in part to the chaotic state of Soviet law enforcement at the time. With resources stretched thin and a general reluctance to acknowledge the existence of a serial killer within their midst, authorities struggled to piece together the pattern of crimes. This allowed Chikatilo to continue his spree, reveling in the chaos and destruction he unleashed upon his unsuspecting victims. The victims of Andrei Chikatilo were as varied as they were tragic, each life cut short by his insatiable lust for violence. His preferred targets were often the most vulnerable members of society: children, adolescents, and young women. These individuals, often marginalized and overlooked by society, became easy prey for a predator like Chikatilo, who exploited their trust and innocence to fulfill his dark desires. Chikatilo's methods were as brutal as they were methodical. He would often lure his victims into isolated areas under false pretenses, promising them food, money, or companionship. Once alone, he would unleash a torrent of violence, stabbing, strangling, and mutilating his victims with a ferocity that belied his calm exterior. The acts were not only a means to an end, but a ritualistic expression of his deep-seated rage and frustration. Such was his depravity that, in many cases, the bodies of his victims were left in a state of extreme disfigurement, a testament to the sadistic pleasure he derived from their suffering. This level of brutality made it difficult for investigators to identify the remains, compounding the trauma for the victims' families. Each murder bore the hallmarks of Chikatilo's twisted psyche, a chilling reminder of the depths of human cruelty. The sheer number of victims and the brutality of their deaths left a lasting scar on the community, serving as a grim reminder of the evil that lurked within. For those tasked with bringing him to justice, the challenge was not only to capture a killer, but to restore faith in a system that had, for too long, failed to protect its most vulnerable citizens. Luring the innocent, a predator's game. Chikatilo's ability to lure his victims was rooted in his understanding of human nature and his ability to exploit their weaknesses. Often posing as a kindly stranger or a helpful bystander, he would approach his targets with an air of trustworthiness, disarming them with his calm demeanor. His knowledge of the human psyche, honed through years of observation and practice, allowed him to manipulate those around him with chilling ease. He often targeted individuals who were marginalized or in distress, knowing that their desperation made them more susceptible to his advances. Offering the promise of food, shelter, or companionship, Chikatilo capitalized on their vulnerabilities, drawing them into his web of deceit. Once isolated, his demeanor would shift, revealing the predator beneath the facade, a transformation that signaled the beginning of their end. The locations he chose for his attacks were often remote, ensuring that his actions would go unnoticed. Abandoned buildings, secluded forests, and desolate railway stations became the stage for his gruesome performances, places where he could unleash his fury without fear of interruption. His ability to blend into the background, appearing as nothing more than a benign presence, allowed him to strike with impunity, leaving investigators with little to go on. This combination of psychological manipulation and strategic planning made Chikatilo a formidable adversary for law enforcement. His understanding of human behavior, coupled with his ruthlessness, allowed him to evade capture for far longer than anyone could have anticipated, leaving a trail of devastation in his wake that would take years to fully unravel. A community in fear, the ripple effects. The impact of Chikatilo's crimes on the community was both profound and far-reaching. As news of the murder spread, a palpable sense of fear took hold, permeating every aspect of daily life. Parents became hyper-vigilant, children were warned against speaking to strangers, and the once vibrant streets grew eerily quiet as people retreated into their homes, seeking safety in isolation. The social fabric of the community was irrevocably altered by the constant threat of violence. Trust, once freely given, became a rare commodity, replaced by suspicion and paranoia. Neighbors who had once looked out for one another now eyed each other warily, unsure of who might be harboring dark secrets. The sense of security that had once defined the community was shattered, replaced by an overwhelming feeling of vulnerability. Law enforcement too felt the strain of Chikatilo's reign of terror. The pressure to capture the elusive killer mounted with each new victim, fueling frustration and desperation within the ranks. The lack of resources, compounded by bureaucratic inefficiencies, hampered their efforts, leading to a series of false starts and missteps that only served to prolong the community's suffering. For the families of the victims, the impact was devastating. The loss of a loved one under such horrific circumstances left a void that could never be filled, a wound that festered with the knowledge that justice had yet to be served. Their grief was compounded by the knowledge that the killer remained at large, free to strike again. The emotional toll was immeasurable, a testament to the enduring legacy of Chikatilo's crimes. The Long Hunt, capturing Chikatilo. The investigation to capture Andrei Chikatilo was an arduous and complex endeavor, marked by numerous challenges and setbacks. The task of piecing together the puzzle of his crimes fell to a small team of dedicated investigators who sifted through mountains of evidence in search of clues. Despite their best efforts, the elusive nature of the killer made it difficult to establish a clear pattern, leaving them grasping at straws. The turning point in the investigation came in 1990, when a seasoned detective named Viktor Burakov took charge of the case. Burakov's methodical approach and keen intuition breathed new life into the investigation, allowing the team to make significant progress. By analyzing the patterns of the murders and interviewing potential witnesses, Burakov was able to develop a profile of the killer, narrowing down the list of suspects. In a stroke of luck, Chikatilo was eventually apprehended in November 1990, following a chance encounter with a police officer who recognized him from the suspect list. His arrest marked the beginning of the end for one of the most prolific serial killers in history, a moment that brought a sense of relief to a community long held captive by fear. The capture of Chikatilo was a testament to the perseverance and dedication of law enforcement, who worked tirelessly to bring him to justice. Their efforts not only ended a reign of terror but also restored a measure of faith in a system that had, for too long, failed its citizens. The success of the investigation served as a reminder of the importance of persistence and collaboration in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. The trial justice delivered. The trial of Andrei Chikatilo was a spectacle of unprecedented proportions, drawing widespread attention both within the Soviet Union and beyond. Held in 1992, the proceedings were marked by intense media scrutiny and public interest, as people sought to understand the mind behind the monster. The courtroom was packed with onlookers, including families of the victims, all eager for justice to be served. Chikatilo's defense, anchored in claims of mental illness, attempted to paint him as a victim of circumstance, driven to madness by factors beyond his control. However, the sheer brutality of his crimes left little room for sympathy, and the prosecution presented a compelling case that highlighted the calculated nature of his actions. Witness testimonies, forensic evidence, and Chikatilo's own confessions painted a damning picture that was impossible to ignore. The trial was not without its dramatic moments, as Chikatilo often disrupted the proceedings with outbursts and bizarre behavior. Despite these antics, the judge remained steadfast, determined to see justice done. After months of deliberation, the verdict was delivered. Andrei Chikatilo was found guilty of 52 murders and sentenced to death, a punishment befitting the magnitude of his crimes. The conclusion of the trial brought a sense of closure to the families of the victims, who had long awaited this moment. For them, the verdict was more than just a legal decision. It was a validation of their suffering and a step towards healing. While the execution of Chikatilo in 1994 marked the end of his story, the impact of his actions continued to resonate, a sobering reminder of the darkness that lurks within the human soul. Conclusion: the lingering legacy. The chilling crimes of Andrei Chikatilo left an indelible mark on the collective consciousness of a nation, serving as a stark reminder of the potential for evil within the human psyche. His actions not only shattered the lives of countless individuals, but also exposed the vulnerabilities of a society struggling to adapt to a rapidly changing world. The legacy of his crimes continues to haunt those who lived through that dark period, a testament to the enduring power of fear and the resilience needed to overcome it. The impact on law enforcement was profound, prompting a re-evaluation of investigative methods and the importance of cooperation across agencies. The lessons learned from the Chikatilo case would go on to inform future investigations, ensuring that the mistakes of the past would not be repeated. It served as a catalyst for change, highlighting the need for vigilance and adaptability in the face of evolving threats. For the families of the victims, the pain of loss remains a constant companion, tempered only by the knowledge that justice was ultimately served. Their stories of perseverance and strength in the face of unimaginable adversity continue to inspire, a testament to the human capacity for resilience and recovery. While the scars of the past may never fully heal, the process of remembrance and reflection offers a path towards healing, As we look back on the chilling legacy of Andrei Chikatilo, we are reminded of the fragility of life and the importance of safeguarding the most vulnerable among us. His story serves as a cautionary tale, a reminder that the battle against darkness is ongoing, and that the pursuit of justice and truth remains as crucial today as it was then.